This channel is supported by Truefire.
Well, what is this all about then? It's the Truefire Summer Music Festival. What I'm going to tell you about, you can get 1 month of all access for just $1. The all access, you can dip in and out of every single course on Truefire, so that's a really great way to get some awesome courses down you.
Okay, the Behringer Klon thing, I'm sure you kept up to some extent with what this was about. Essentially, Klon was suing Behringer for this. This started at the end of May. I've kind of followed this with quite a lot of interest because I thought it was kind of, in a nutshell, quite an interesting story about cloning and showing us in real time how this stuff kind of works. Anyway, there's been an update. I speculated that maybe what Behringer might do would be to change the name, and I thought that might get them out of it. But there's actually been an update to the case, which I'd paid to get a look at, and I thought I'd share that with you because I think this story keeps on going. It's getting more interesting, and Behringer are not off the hook yet. Oh, and also prices continue to stay high on these for some reason. Not exactly sure why. So if you go through, I've actually paid to look at all of this. It's remained predominantly the same, the actual case. And if you've not already seen the case, basically Bill and whoever's representing Bill are making the case that essentially Behringer are using, the reputation, the trade dress, all this sort of stuff of Bill Finnegan, which has been, developed over time, and has also been, the name Centaur specifically has been trademarked for a while, and then it goes and cites evidence all through about the reputation of Behringer, and also existing Behringer pedals having Behringer clearly on the face, and then making the case that putting Behringer behind here essentially has meant that it, using Centaur specifically, which is a trademark, that is really beyond the pale and is essentially breaking trade dress and all that stuff. It still includes your boy here. I'm not actually an employee. My name is John Cordy and I work for Behringer. That's not true, I'm afraid, Bill. I was just joking. There is this new part, so it goes through like the original videos, which have since been taken down, which I think, obviously they've seen the lawsuit. They've not really answered anything about it yet. So yeah, there's a big point here that there's speculation in the comments, for example, that Behringer bought the rights, and that it kind of looks like Bill Finnegan gave his blessing. Kind of crazy. Then this is the new part here. the infringing Centara pedal. So on or about June 23rd, 2025, after having been served with a complaint in this action, and without plaintiff's knowledge or approval, defendants updated the product page for the counterfeit Centaur page on Behringer's website to display a revised version of the counterfeit Centaur pedal, now named the Centara. The Centara mark with a modified Centaur logo and the Behringer mark appearing on the face of the pedal, the infringing Centara pedal. When launching the infringing Centara pedal, defendants were on notice of Klon's trademark registrations for Centaur. When defendants first launched the infringing Centara pedal on the product page for the counterfeit Centaur pedal on Behringer's website, the page appeared as shown below, with Klon's Centaur mark still prominently featured as the product name and in close proximity to the image of the infringing Centara pedal, Centaur Overdrive, there you see. Upon information and belief, defendants revised the website page for the counterfeit Centaur pedal as shown above in order to create a continuation of association between Klon's Centaur mark and defendants' newly adopted and highly similar Centara mark. Defendants subsequently revised the above depicted website page to slightly change Klon's Centaur mark to read Centara. Upon information and belief, defendants selected the Centara mark, which is confusingly similar to Klon's Centaur mark visually, phonetically and conceptually, for the purposes of continuing to create confusion and trading on plaintiffs' goodwill and reputation. Plaintiffs have not authorized, approved, agreed upon, or otherwise consented to the marketing, sale, or distribution of the infringing Centara pedal. Plaintiffs have advised defendants that they object to the marketing, sale, and distribution of the infringing Centara pedal. Despite plaintiffs' objections and notice, defendants continue to actively market the infringing Centara pedal, and it can be ordered on several websites. Upon information and belief, or about the same time as defendants unilaterally launched the infringing Centara pedal on the Behringer website, defendants directed their dealers and distributors, including but not limited to Sweetwater in the US, to begin offering the infringing Centara pedal for sale. Upon information and belief, consumers ordering the infringing Centara pedal are receiving the counterfeit Centaur pedal from retailers. Interesting. In the wake of defendants' announced change from the counterfeit Centaur pedal to the infringing Centara pedal, the price of the counterfeit Centaur pedal has skyrocketed on the secondary market. Upon information belief, consumers wanting to take the chances of perhaps getting a counterfeit Centaur pedal have been ordering the infringing Centara pedal. Defendants have not made any statement on or in connection with the marketing or sale of the counterfeit Centaur pedal or the infringing Centara pedal, that plaintiffs have no affiliation with defendants, and or that plaintiffs have not authorized or otherwise agreed to the marketing, sale, and or distribution of either pedal. By launching the infringing Centara pedal without any explanation to consumers as to whether the counterfeit Centaur pedal has been discontinued, and or whether plaintiffs have authorized, approved, endorsed, agreed upon, or are otherwise affiliated with either or both of defendants' infringing pedals, defendants have deliberately created interest, demand, and consumer confusion over both the counterfeit Centaur pedal and the infringing Centara pedal. Defendants' willful and unilateral adoption and promotion of the Centara mark and the infringing Centara pedal, which defendants continue to misleadingly describe as a pedal as legendary as the many mythological creatures it is named after, has not abated the actual and potential harm to plaintiffs, nor has it undone the substantial damage already done to plaintiffs by the counterfeit Centaur pedal. So, repeat and re-allege all of the foregoing paragraphs as though fully set forth herein. So still about the Centaur, count 2, trademark infringement, count 1, trademark counterfeiting. Yeah, and it's still just saying even before this before you started using Centara, which has not really had a significant break, and they never mentioned that Centaur had been discontinued anyway. Intended to have caused, likely to cause confusion, mistake, deception amongst consumers, public and trade. Yeah. Are they affiliated, sponsored by, or endorsed by the plaintiffs? So that's trademark infringement. Count 3, false designation of origin, which still exists. Yeah, common law. This is the trade dress part. Unfair competition. Confuse, mislead, deceiving consumers. Likely to dilute the distinctive quality of the Centaur mark and the Centaur logo. False advertising. Unauthorized use of Bill Finnegan's name and likeness. And request for relief. I think they're asking essentially that the Centara needs to go as well. Statutory damages of $2 million per counterfeit mark, demanding for a jury trial. And this is fairly up to date. And I think this part here, the Empower Tribe HQ FZE, it looks like, well, I should probably block that part out. Someone is actually representing Behringer now at this point. So the waiver of the service of summons, what that essentially means is that they don't have to do the normal kind of thing of serving summons like physically. But it does mean that they've essentially accepted the case, right? I think. So that's basically the update. Centara is also not really covering it because this damage has already been done. And there's kind of continuation. They're using the same product page. The association is kind of, you can't undo that. You can't put the toothpaste back in the toothbrush. And then, yeah, so that's what's going on. Yeah. So I think the case is still ongoing, essentially. So that's what I found out today. I don't know. Quite interesting still, I think, that the Centara is it's not. It's too late. Yeah. But I do wish Bill all the best in this, and I hope he is able to get what he's due from this. Because he's been cloned for absolutely decades, hasn't he? So to summarise, Bill's basically gone and said, look, bruv, you did this thing with the Centaur. You've not responded initially to the cease and desist. You've not responded to the case particularly, either the lawsuit that was addressed. And without consulting me, all you've done is move that Behringer logo from the back onto the front. And you've changed the text on there. But it looks like you may have even still been selling the Centaur just under the name Centara. But he's saying that Sweetwater, potentially, not even just Sweetwater, still sending out the Centaur potentially, and that's what he's kind of suggesting has been happening, is that people were, you know, taking a punt on the Centara in the hopes that the Centaur, i.e. this version, was what might end up on their doorstep. And he's saying in any case, the Centara, it's not enough of a change, and it's still kind of confusing to the user. And there was this, like, no real distinction anyway. It's still the same product pages. And, yeah. So, I don't know. It looks like Bill's not happy with what Behringer had done in response. And the case continues. So, this was 16th of July. It looks like Behringer are going to have to answer to this at some point.